Well, the first and maybe only presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump is now in the books. Immigration was a theme throughout, with Trump mentioning the issues in Aurora. Vice President Harris brought up a border security bill that Trump told Republicans to kill.
That bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Trump was asked why he killed the bill, but didn't answer. Instead, he talked about crime.
Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse
President
me,
Harris,
the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud.
All right, our political analyst, Democrat Mike Dino, Republican Dick Wadhams are here with us tonight. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with us. We appreciate your time. So let's get right to it, shall we? Mike, did they set out to do what they needed to do?
I think so, particularly for Vice President Harris. She carried on from the convention with a lot of her themes. Moving forward, let's chart a new path. Let's don't go backward. And I thought she looked presidential. So I think that was key for her. She was able to perform on a stage with the former president and be successful.
Dick, your thoughts?
Well, for one thing, I think that Trump was much more disciplined than I was anticipating. I was pleasantly surprised because we all know how he can become undisciplined. And I think he also stuck to the themes of immigration, fracking, and the economy and inflation. And I think he kept hammering those, and I think that was good.
Immigration was a hot topic, no surprise there. Mr. Trump brought up Aurora twice. Did the former president do enough to hold Vice President Harris accountable in your mind?
Well, I think he could have done a better job, frankly. He kept going, as Trump likes to do, going off on these little cul-de-sacs, and I think he should have kept hammering the fact that she has been vice president for 3.5 years, and all these things have been languishing out there, and she didn't get them accomplished. And why do we think she'll do even better now? So I think he should have kept going back to those themes.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to watch the debate together, and as soon as he started his closing statement, you said, "Where was that all night long?" Because it felt like that was one of the things that he should have been hitting on maybe a little bit more often.
That's right.
So, Mike, let me ask you, do you think Vice President Harris did enough to separate herself from the Biden administration right now? What do you think?
I thought she did. I like the line she says, "I'm not Joe Biden, and obviously I'm not Donald Trump." I thought that was a great line. It was a very defining line. And I think she charted her course with where she would stand on some key issues relative to housing and a tax credit for small businesses. Certainly, Trump probably helped, though. He could have gone a lot farther in attaching her to the Biden administration. And Dick's right. It really came down to the end. The former president, seemed more intent on degrading the current president, and that took him off track.
Do you feel like she made any points about the economy and where things stand right now and what she plans to do if she's elected president? Well,
you know, Karen, I think the most important thing is that she looked presidential, that people could look at her and say, I think she could do this job. The economy is a tough issue for her, and the former president could probably do more to harp on it. He didn't have a lot of specifics, but I think the fact that she looked presidential and people could say, I could see her in that office was key.
Dick, do you think tonight changed any minds in Colorado one way or the other? Because we know there are certainly people who have already decided they're going to vote for the vice president. We know there are certainly people who have decided they're going to vote for the former president. And then there's this group that's kind of sitting in the middle. Did anybody move one way or the other tonight?
No. I think that this race, where it was beginning of the debate, is where it is now. And this is just going to be a slugfest, Michael, between now and November 5th. And they're going to be fighting over a tiny sliver of voters in 7 states. And Mike and I were talking earlier. each one of those 7 states could go either way. They could either go Trump or they could go Harris. I would disagree with Mike on one thing. I think her facial expression has detracted from her performance. I think she should have, frankly, done what Trump did: stare straight into the camera and not look at her. And she should have done that too. I think she spent too much time looking at Trump, smiling, sometimes smirking, and I don't think that served her well.
We've got less than 2 months now until the election. Do we see another debate between these two?
It's hard to imagine. I think that Trump's advisors probably are content with him doing his rallies, and that came up. It was a distraction from a more important issue, immigration. I feel strongly that, the vice president will win the popular vote, but we know, as Dick said, it comes down to the swing states. Tonight it was in Pennsylvania, and that's the biggest prize of the swing states.
Dick, you think it's one and done?
Yes, I do. I think that these two enjoy beating up on each other, but I think they're both going to go to their corners and they're just going to do their campaigns now.
Any surprises tonight? Anything that you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that?
Well, I was anxious about how the vice president would perform. I think that the interview she had didn't earn her a lot of points. I think tonight might give her a very slight boost in the general polls, but again, it's going to be neck and neck in these swing states all the way through. And I was very pleased with her performance, and so I'm a little surprised that it turned out so well.
No? Dick?
No, I mean, there was no golden moment or moment that transformed the race. I think they both did what they needed to do in many ways, but also, I mean, Trump should have done a better job of saying, you've been there 3.5 years and you didn't do it. Why do you think you can do it now? And that's the one lacking for Trump on this thing.
Gentlemen, we appreciate your insight as always. We know that we will be hearing a lot from both of you in the next 2 months, a little less than that as we lead up to the election. Thanks so much for stopping by tonight.